Grace Carpenter Hudson, the Painter Lady. Grace was born in 1865 in Potter Valley, California. She was the daughter of Helen and Aurelius Armando Carpenter. Helen taught indigenous Pomo children and was a portrait photographer. Aurelius enjoyed working as a photographer in Mendocino County, recording the popular enterprises such as shipping, logging, railroading. He worked on landscape paintings as well. At 14, Grace moved to San Francisco to attend the School of Design. The School of Design is historically known for its feminism and artistic progression. During her studies, Grace focused on paintings directly from nature, as seen on the image to the right. At 16, she was awarded for her first life-size crayon portrait, which was the beginning to her success. She went on to render illustrations for magazine companies such as Overland Monthly and Cosmopolitan. Her works included landscapes, portraits, still life, and genre. Grace went on to complete many famous artworks, such as The Little Mendocino and National Thorn. Grace had a specific gift and passion that gave her the ability to realistically depict the Pomo culture. She used her photography skills to document each of her art pieces with notes. Her camera was a special element in executing her final illustrations. She used it as a basis to guide her through the initial steps of her oil paintings. In 1890, Grace married John Hudson, an archaeologist from Nashville, Tennessee, who moved to California in 1889 to pursue a physician job at the San Francisco and North Pacific Railroad. They married in 1908 and shared their interest of the indigenous native people of Northern California. John educated her about the natives and their culture, which inspired her to complete many beautiful pieces, such as The Dowry, The Feast Gift, and Josepha. Grace and John lived a very modest, simplistic, and nonconformist life of travel, art, and culture. In 1911, they designed and hired to construct their Sun House, craftsman-style bungalow. The craftsman style was a great fit for Grace and her husband's personalities, as the couple and home style were progressive and innovative for their time period. Grace and John lived a very modest, simplistic, and nonconformist life of travel, art, and culture. In 1911, they designed and hired to construct their Sun House, craftsman bungalow style. The craftsman style was a great fit for Grace and her husband's personalities, as the couple and home style were progressive and innovative for their time period. Grace now has a museum in Ukiah, California, in honor of her success. Many of her works and other featured artists are on display. The Carpenters never had any children. Therefore, their Sun House and their land was left to Grace's nephew, Mark Carpenter, then donated to the museum. California art. California is the inspiration for the United States, especially when it comes to art. Art is a representation of our emotions, perspective, attitude, opinion, and it's a source of education. Originality is essential to being an artist. Therefore, any styles or techniques that have been used by California artists have added their own twist. The first California artists. From the time before modernism and the Industrial Revolution, when the world wasn't consumed by technology, Native Californians were designing incredible pieces of functional art. It has told their story for generations now, from their most valuable raw materials to their ingenuity and their everyday routine. They used these baskets for almost everything: eating, drinking, packaging, containing, and carrying. California Impressionism, a West Coast take on American Impressionism. This was a style used during the Great Depression by artists in the San Francisco Bay Area and Southern California, which is obvious due to the majestic landscapes. There were a lot of people who had to move out of the urban areas to the more rural and mountain areas. During the Great Depression, not only were people forced to relocate, but they sought ways to distract them. They were able to use art as that coping mechanism. William Clapp, known as the American genius of Impressionism for his radical take on the style. He was a member of the Society of Six, a group of innovative artists. He had an obsession with playing with light and color. William had the ability to transform form to the point that color and light seemed subsidiary. In Rose Mist, he shows his love for simplicity. The way the darker toned boat sits on the warmer, lighter tones of the water create an emotional focal point or main subject for the story he is telling. The Green Brothers, a partnership of architects who specialized in the arts and crafts movement. Charles and Henry designed the Gamble House, which is known as their masterpiece. Their detailing was specific and unified, with wood coffered ceilings, flooring, furniture, and etc. For this time period, stepping away from metallic and concrete material uses was reformist. There is a beautiful imagery of trees and plants throughout the furniture selections, stained glass, and light fixtures. Another progressive California architect artist is Arthur Matthews. He was determined to partner up with his wife Lucia, whom was a designer as well, to rebuild San Francisco after the 1906 earthquake, in which they essentially did. Spring Dance is an agrarian mural of three women dancing, which gives a very graceful movement to the canvas. There is a landscape background of Pacific Japan that the dancers are overlooking. Matthews designed and created these types of murals for concert halls and libraries.